historians for Orange County, people who skateboarded, the old-time skateboarders, because they were just like us, researching, looking for places to skateboard as kids, and their brains work very much like us metal detectorists. And the level of what they have brought to me is mind-blowing. I mean, I cannot believe it. They have, just like we research and maybe have little folders on our computers of areas we should detect, they're doing the same thing. They have folders of, hey, here are older images of the area, here are the aerials, here are this, because they're looking for ditches they can detect. I mean, they can skateboard, or pools that were empty from years ago. And they, or they wanted, just for nostalgia, remember all that stuff. So when they were kids, when they were skateboarding there in these areas that are now demolished or might be a field, but they knew a house was there that wasn't, maybe the historians didn't really, document well. So I've connected with a bunch of, amateur historians / people who skateboard, and
awesome.
And I feel like a kid. We have a lot of fun. They will be like, come on, let's go. We're going to go exploring. And my friends who detect with us just can't believe it. What they uncover and what they have helped me find ramps from the 1920s, cow ramps to get onto the train, cattle washing stations. I mean, we have gone to historical hot springs. We can't detect there, but, they're showing me items of history not anybody really knows around here. Most people don't even realize. And it's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun. The survey markers, they taught me that, how to use them to find further history, because every survey marker has a date when it was put in there, how often it's been, documented that they found it the next year. It has to be in a certain level of concrete put in the ground. So you can actually kind of get a lot of data from that from online. What other things can I tell you? It's been great. I've had a lot of fun.
Wow, survey markers, I get that, but who would have ever thunk that you can go ask skateboarders? Because, I grew up, my brother skateboarded, and then both of my sons skateboard, and, I never thought about, they're always looking for places to go skateboard, the same as we're looking for places to go metal detect. What a really interesting, unique, never have heard of that. That is fascinating. Wow.
Right. And they're looking for abandoned places that are obviously older places. So if it's bridges, tunnels, and since they understand all of this, they will go, oh, yeah, I know this foundation out here, blah, blah, blah. It used to have a pool, but the pool's not there anymore. We skateboarded it as kids. It's like, well, we can go look at the foundation. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah. We learned something new tonight. Right, Amanda?
Yes, absolutely.
Or I did, anyway. Wow. So once you got involved and started metal detecting, where you live now, and it takes you all over, is there some specific place that sticks out in your mind that really, maybe you've really found lots of amazing stuff there, or interesting stuff? You got some interesting stories. Any place like that sticks out in your mind?
Well, there's one that I found prior to the skateboarding crowd, and I really like small parks. I like parks that don't even look like parks that aren't usually found on a map. We have an abundance of metal detectorists in our area. So anything that is easily documented has probably been hunted a lot. I won't say anything's hunted out, but been hunted a lot. Our beaches are almost bare with finds because so many detectorists. But if, when I find a park that might it could be a patch of grass. Maybe it was a big park once, but because freeways were brought in and construction, it's now down to a small patch. I'm in heaven. And so I have one park where I have, when I found it, and being a female, I have to be safe. I found the park. I wanted to detect it for a while in my, so I asked a friend to go along with me. And it took him about 4 or 5 months before he could take the time to go because he wanted to beach detect. Totally understandable, but I needed a second for safety because I knew this park could possibly not be safe. And when we first got there was so many coins. It was unbelievable, and we were finding older coins. And then there was an area of the park I knew could be very shady, and I wanted him to come with me, and we did that another day, and I right away found a Victorian gas valve that was the 1800s, and since then we've pulled up. I've brought various friends to that park, and everyone's shocked, like, this is where you've been detecting and finding all these things? This doesn't even look like a park, right? And they're finding such fun stuff. And I bring, beginners there to learn. I brought people there. I mean, I bet there could be, somebody on here listening. Dylan's been there. Amanda, if she's listening, not you, Amanda, but another Amanda. We've been there. We've had some great times at that park. So I enjoy the areas that you wouldn't think you would be good at detecting. I've done good at finding gold at parks as well, and that's kind of shocked people. But I have my methods of how I go about it.
That's fantastic.
And I bet the friend that it took a couple months to get him to go was shocked when he.
Yeah. He was, he's learned that if I say, hey, I have a place, it all starts with me saying I couldn't sleep last night, so I was researching. If I say that, it's probably a smart thing. You go with me because it's going to be some crazy place. But he's learned that if I say, hey, I have an idea, let's go here, it's probably going to be some fun, and I've done my research. I make a PowerPoint. People have detected with me if I'm serious about a place. I've made a PowerPoint with screenshots, with aerials, with everything I can find on it, so we can all write our notes on it. Whoever's going with me for the first time, I can kind of get my bearings. If we're driving far, I'll print it out and have it on a clipboard so I can make notes. So sometimes when you get there, what you see on the aerial doesn't feel like what's there, or it doesn't. So I come prepared.
Yeah.
That is so helpful to have someone to detect that goes through that to print out stuff, because I've been to places and I've looked at maps, prior. And then I get there and I'm like, I am lost. I have no idea. I thought I was going to head over here because, it looked like there was an old building or old home at one time, but then you get there and the property you get lost. So that must be very, I'm sure your friends really like that. When they go
now one of the people with this historian skateboard crowd, we can say, they're very smart. They take pictures of now and then. So they love putting, this is a historical photo, and here's the exact photo of that exact location. We're lining it up. And that has been a lot of fun to see all these very historical photos, but here exactly. So that also makes it more fun to go detect because you feel like you're walking into a museum.
Wow, incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you know the drill when you're a metal detector, and you get this all the time, and Amanda, we get this all the time, but everybody always wants to know what your favorite find is, or what you consider your best find, etc. Do you have some favorite finds that you'd like to talk about or share a story? Or
I have a 1700s branding iron I found, and that one was, I was with my girlfriend, and we were detecting this park that no one thought we would find anything, and Dee Dee's her name if she's online. And I said, I think I found a branding iron, kind of like in an alien voice. And she goes, no. And then she turns around, and then we're staring at it in almost pure shock as I'm holding it in the air like it's some trophy, because I don't know. I'm just completely confused why I'm in this modern park and I have a branding iron in my
Branding
hand.
iron.
And I don't even know. I don't even know if it's a branding iron yet, because, I mean, how many branding irons have I been around? And he goes, you did find a branding iron. And so the bad thing about that, and this is a moral to the story, is when we found it, Dee Dee was already a bit exhausted and needed to go. And I didn't take very clear coordinates of exactly where I found it, because there was the big park. It all looks the same. Mm-hmm. And I always am like, I wish I knew the exact area where I found it. It was in the wooded area. And it just really, the ground and everything looks the same. So that is my biggest mistake with that branding iron. But it's gone through a lot of research. It's gone in other people's hands. Smithsonian got involved, as well as they have narrowed down the iron comes from an old, all of a sudden I forgot the word, an old mission in San Juan Capistrano. Yeah, so it comes from the actual mission, and they've narrowed down the iron is for sure from there. There is, I believe, in Texas, I can't remember where, but there is a cowboy museum. They got involved, and they definitely say it's Spanish, the design. And there's a lot of people, a lot of historians are involved with that branding iron. We've sadly not narrowed down the exact rancho yet, but we've narrowed down the iron contents, how old it is, where it came from exactly. So the next thing is, and I don't know Spanish enough, is if we can really see the catalogs from Mexico and go as far back as we can. But there are still people who are researching constantly on it. People think, I can solve it, and they'll contact me and they will research and research. So it's an interesting one, and I love it. It's a really fun.
That's so fascinating. I mean, do you think that could easily become a museum piece or something?
Yeah.
Now, though, I would hang it on the wall proudly.
Yeah, it's opened up a lot of doors. From that, other historians have contacted me and said, can you go and detect here, and can you please get a bullet from a famous shootout? It's opened a lot of interesting doors where people who, thought, she's just a simple detectorist, I'm more into history, and then they realize some of the stuff I've pulled, and they're like, wow. And from that, I learned a lot about branding irons. I knew nothing. Now I know a lot. But I also have started making a collection of ranching items that I found. I recently found a 1920s tag for a cattle tag. That was, I didn't know what it was, but somebody else, taught me that's what it was. And again, that was in a modern park. And I went, what is this? This is strange, and brought it home. And somebody else pointed out, and so I am making this collection of really historic items that would have come from Orange County because it was all ranch. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's not something you think of, is that area, and it's true, it was all a ranching area prior.
Yeah. Last Thursday, I got 2 tips of veterinarian syringes. I mean, for you guys where you have history, that, no big deal. But for us, we're jumping. I remember the first square nail I found here, that we were all jumping for joy, many detectives around, like, we found a square nail.
That's too funny. Well, we need to get you up, in the direction where Amanda lives sometime. You would have a field day there.
No, I would.
Yep, you would. You would. Now, I'm going to divert a little bit. So, focus speed.
Okay.
How did that come about? And for those that have never heard of it before, can you explain a little bit about what it is?